You know how PewDiePie's been doing like art recently, and he's just been like drawing a shit ton. Um, this isn't exactly in the same vein, but it's kind of my version of this. This is a book review series that I want to do for no other reason than I feel like it. So this will be either one episode, two, 100, I don't know. But it all starts here with Hemingway's Old Man and the Sea. This is a very light read for anyone but Nemo Clancy, the guy who tells you that FNAF feels different. This is off script, this is lo-fi, this is just meant to be me kind of being buddies and real with you, my viewer. Because reading for me has never been like a thing. Like, I like writing, and I consider myself a competent writer, but reading, no matter who it has been in my life, no one has been able to no one's been able to get me to read. To name a few, my mother, my first girlfriend, my second girlfriend, God. No one has been able to convince me into it. My second girlfriend was an author, so that was difficult. Try blaming your lack of interest in her work as like an ADHD problem. Yeah, I couldn't ever focus on a book. I tried when I was hella young to read the first Harry Potter book, and I'd black out before I got to the end of a page. I'm not even sure what had been read, even if I was registering the words. So, my entire life, I've considered myself a non-reader. At all. I don't read. I'm not a reader. And that's not me saying, "Ooh, books, boo, iPhone, ooh, Subway." It's not, it's more just like me going, I wish I could get into books. I really do. And I wish I could experience the euphoria people describe when they say they get hooked on a book. But that life was not predestined for me. Until Jai came around. Jai is a guy from film school I met, and he's not watching this, so I'm very okay with just saying his name because, screw him. Jai he's a book guy, likes reading. He's a very knowledgeable fella. He's also just like a good guy to talk to. But you know, over a year of me getting to know this guy and just watching him read like War and Peace, different Russian literatures, just reading. He's always reading, right? And he would always come to school and just be like, "Yo, bro, this piece is sick. Hope nothing happens." And then be like, "Oh, you know." At the moment he's reading, I think the Odyssey. No, the Iliad. He's reading the Iliad, and he texts me randomly going, "Damn. This Trojan War, am I right?" Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not giving it as funny as he is. Point is, though, he's whittled me down into a point of thinking, maybe I can read something. And now, 3 minutes and 40 seconds into this video, I say, I bought this book. I also bought this. This is H.G. Wells's The Time Machine. I knew about this book for ages just because I researched what first time travel story was, and it's this. I haven't finished this yet. We're getting to it. That'll be episode 2 in a month. But I finished this. It took me 4 train rides. First 2 train rides, I think I read 25 pages each, and then the last train ride, I think I read, not the rest, I think I read like 40 pages, but I read a sizable amount of it. And I will say, I enjoyed it. For someone who has never been able to read a book ever by themselves, ever, like, I'm not shitting you, I've never picked up a book on my own accord and finished it. And I would do anything in my power to avoid reading in high school. But, I mean, here we are, and I actually read a book. And I kind of feel proud about, I feel proud about that. I know a lot of bisexual women are going to hear me say that and go like, yeah, 100 pages is like a few hours. And I say to that, fuck off. I am proud of myself. And I want to continue reading. So let's talk about this book. This is Ernest Hemingway. And this was, obviously Hemingway is a very famous author. And Jai suggested I read Hemingway or Tolstoy, so I chose Hemingway. And I chose this one because it was short. I chose it because it was short, but I really enjoyed it. First few things that stood out to me. I never felt like the human dialogue was real, ever. The way this guy speaks is very much so telling you exactly what he's thinking. And that was very jarring at first, but here's the funny thing. It almost becomes more endearing. Like, you kind of love the way they speak. I love the way Old Mate would just be like, "Fish, you now are my friend. I will kill you." And it's just like, "My name is Indigo Montoya. You killed my father." I don't know, it becomes very endearing. You know that these characters are being honest to you because they say what they're thinking. And so when you see them just say something, when you see an old man just say something like, considering his own immorality, and he's saying something like, "Is this a sin? No, I have no time to think of sin." And then like a paragraph later he says, "He continued to think about sin." It's just, it's endearing because you can see very clearly that this old man just, he's earnest. Like Hemingway. I haven't mentioned the story. Old Mate gets on a boat for a few days, gets tugged around by a fish. He's determined to get the fish. The fish is a beauty. He catches it on about 3/4 into the book. He's proud of himself, and then the fish gets mauled by sharks, and he basically arrives back to sea with nothing. And that really upset me. I actually was like almost tearing up on the train around these like year 11 girls who are like on Snapchat and kind of like laughing constantly, and I'm tearing up over a dude and a fish. So I felt emasculated, but you know, I'm also a YouTuber, so it's nothing new. I think what really stood out to me, this is a very like, I'm kind of just speaking off the tongue here, this is a very anti-nihilist book, in my opinion. And the reason I think that is like, it really delves into that concept of, there is no reason he should have put that much effort into catching one fish. And in fact, it was detrimental to do that. It was painful for him to do that. And yet, at the end of the day, despite the dissatisfaction, despite the loss, the book paints this picture that he still used his time, he used his life, he used his own motive. And so even though it was a bad outcome, it's good. Like, it's a good situation. And that's, I don't know, that's really unique. Nihilism has this idea of saying, even if it's amazing, even if you get the best outcome possible, it doesn't matter. But, you know, that kind of makes that like life is synonymous with non-existence. It's like these two ideas are just, it doesn't matter, right? If things don't matter, there's no point. But the issue is, there is, how do I put this? This is why I should script things. If that nihilism assumes that there is no point, right? However, that makes an assumption that non-existence is then synonymous with existence. But it can't be, because existence allows you to do things, which means that they are not equal, and therefore doing things has a purpose. And so therefore this book is like saying, hey, Old Mate did something. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's better to have done something than to have not. And that's such a simple idea, but it's so endearing, and I love it. I love it so much. There's an element of spirituality as well in this book, where Old Mate doesn't believe in God. Very clearly, he doesn't believe in God, but you know, he still just keeps talking to God. He says he'll say 100 Dear Fathers, I believe it is, Hail Marys, and then he neglects to do it later on, which I think is a very... It's sad, you know. That's a defeat. But you know, he's not lying at any point. He's still an honest man. Excuse me. And then simultaneously, there is also the elements of the boy that the old man is missing. And I love their interactions at the beginning, where he's just like, if you were my own, I would take you drinking and gambling, but you're not my own, so go home. And it's like, that's so endearing. That's so lovely. And the boy is just committed. And the fact that the boy is like constantly saying to the old man just things like, you know, I don't care if you're unlucky, I want to be on the boat with you. You know, that's just nice. It's a nice connection. And it makes their ending, when the old man comes back and the boy is still endearing to him, it's like, it doesn't matter that you failed. You know, the connection means more, and I think that's really lovely. I think it's really lovely. It made me happy. Like, the end of the book made me sad, but that made me happy. What else? I really should script these things. The old man's thought processes consistently just going everywhere. I didn't catch all of them, but I mean, bro, DiMaggio? The great DiMaggio. No, now is no time to think about baseball. And then he thinks about baseball. Like, oh, golly. I want to say more. I want to say more. I think there was a lot to talk about in this book. I want to talk about more. Is there anything I can think about? Let me just open to a page. Oh, man. Oh! Yeah, that's a good one. I really loved the old man's outlook on things. There's that moment where he's talking about the sea, and he describes the sea as feminine, and how the sea is lovely and beautiful. But then he says, like, other men describe the sea as masculine because it's a challenge. It needs to be conquered. It's an adversary. It's a fight, right? I love that men haven't changed. When was this book written? It's like it's like early 19s, right? Yeah, because yeah. Yeah, it's early 19s. After the First World War. I don't know. I should have known that. I'm gonna say like 1930s, 1940s. No, but that's the war. Anyway, 1930. Let's just go with that. No, but like, I really loved the way he had an outlook on life that romanticized stuff without being unrealistic. He still has like this traditional-esque way of looking at things, like, this is how things are. Some people are lucky and some people aren't, and he isn't, therefore don't get on his boat. You know, like, he looks at himself and goes, I am unlucky. I went on the water for 80 days and got fuck all, and so therefore I am unlucky, don't come on my boat. And that's just fine to him because that's the way things are. And yet, the way things are is still romanticizable. Traditionalism doesn't necessarily mean ungood. You know what I mean? So I loved his outlook, just being able to, like, admire the sea, admire the water, and call it feminine because that's beautiful. It is beautiful. The water is beautiful. And that kind of idea of romanticization kind of goes through everything. What does he say about the moon and the moon and the sun, where he's like, it's lucky that a man doesn't have to go out and kill the moon every night to bring back the daytime, or it doesn't have to kill the sun every afternoon to bring the nighttime, you know? Like, we're lucky, you know? What's he yapping about? I don't know, but it's beautiful, and I don't know, it made me feel grateful in a way. Like, yeah, you're right. I don't know why I'd have to kill the sun. I don't know, the sun god Ra would probably not be very happy with that, but nonetheless, you know, yeah, I guess I am grateful that the sun is always just gonna come right back, you know? Maybe it's a simple little thing. I just pulled that out of your ear. Where else did he like romanticize stuff? Obviously, he was always thinking about the boy. He was always thinking about the fish. Why am I not talking about the fish more? Bro so saw himself in that fish. Like, he was talking about that fish as if it was him. And by the end, the association of friendship he'd bestowed upon this fish was so, like, brotherly in a way. Like, he would talk... Oh, I love that. I love the line where he says, I can't talk to you. He doesn't exactly say these words, but, you know, paraphrasing. He's like, I can't talk to you, fish, as you're no longer as beautiful. And then he goes, half fish, I am sorry. Like, what's he doesn't want to talk to the fish anymore because he feels like he's lost his honor. I felt so sad. Oh, man. I'm gonna sneeze. Yeah, you ain't getting them frames. So, oh, now it's wet. Ew. That's really gross. Long story short, if you haven't read this, I know I'm gonna get mocked for, oh, year 11 English book, but yeah, I wanna say this is actually a nice read, and I don't know, if you want to feel something, read it. Is it the greatest book ever written? I don't know, I've never read a book before, but I liked it. Good book. Good book. In anticipation, this is very different. Bro over-exaggerates on everything. He was a journalist, H.G. Wells, so... Anyway, my sinuses are now, like, blocked, because I don't normally film for 11 minutes straight, so... Now that my nasal cavities have decided that I'm going to sound like... I don't know why the word enchilada came into my mind. Okay, yeah, oh golly, okay, that's gross. I'm gonna stop this video now because my sinuses have flared up really badly in the last minute. But yeah, I hope I can talk more about books, and I hope you guys can suggest some things for me. And I want this to be a recurring thing because this made me happy. Alright, see you in the next one. See ya.